Absolutely. I want to let everyone know first that we are live streaming and recording this meeting. Both of those have started. Jerry Abrahams,
Here.
Cindy Butts,
Here.
Wendy Clark, Phil DeFranco.
Here.
Heidi de Weingart is unable to join us this morning. Claudio Gualtieri,
I'm here. Good morning, everyone.
Timothy Hodges.
Here.
Catherine McKinnon is unable to join us this morning. Commissioner Mascara Bruno.
Here.
Commissioner Perez. Franklin Perry. Matt Puglisi. Chelsea Ross.
Here.
Sarah Sanders.
Here.
Lisa Tepper Bates.
Here.
Greg Ugalde.
Present.
Thank you. We do have a quorum in attendance for this meeting.
Thank you, Dawn. It's 10:02 and I call the meeting to order. Dawn, could you please do the public comments?
Absolutely. This is the only opportunity on the agenda for the public to provide comments. If you would like to provide a comment, please unmute yourself and state your name, or if you're in the room, please let us know. To ensure that everyone has the opportunity, comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Seeing or hearing no requests for comments, the public comment period has now ended. Commissioner, I'll return the meeting to you.
Thank you. Next on our agenda, we have the report of our CEO.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Happy spring, as Commissioner just said. Starting to see the day longer, it feels really good. Wanted to talk today a little bit about our strategic plan. We adopted it in January of this year, and at the time, I told the board that we would come back to you with some idea of what our key performance indicators would be. So these would be either quantitative measures or qualitative ways that we could hold ourselves accountable for the work and report back to you. We'll try to do that quarterly, although the cadence of the work sometimes doesn't lend itself to quarterly reporting, but we'll do the best we can. And these are the areas that we want to touch on today. So next slide, please. These are the core areas that are strategic. As a reminder, these are the core areas that the strategic plan touches on. Relationship building and partnerships, financial and operational management, organizational improvement, as well as innovation. Next slide. So starting off with financial and operational management, our intent with the first bullet here is to streamline. Over time, we have added on to our procedures. In some cases, we have done some streamlining, but we know that there's more work to do. We're taking a really comprehensive look at the capital P procedures that are board approved. And we know it's going to have a cascading effect on our operating procedures, our manuals. Wherever possible, we'd like to simplify, but keep the intent if it's important to us to have certain things be memorialized or be elevated to the procedure level. We certainly want to do that. But our goal is to really simplify, streamline, and reduce time and money. So that's what the first one is about. We're hoping to get it done by the third quarter, which will require board approval. You may require 2 board approvals because one will be for posting and one will be for approval. We're getting close on both of them. And in single family, we're also looking at implementing compliance review, which is a much more streamlined approval process for loan files. In multifamily, we've talked about this before, but we are putting a really fine point on it. Preservation is important. And although we do preservation today, actually developing a program of outreach and financing is a demonstration of how important it is to our state and for affordable housing in general. And so we've made it a goal. We're calling it, outreach, but really it's more than just a conversation. It's going to require a significant amount of back and forth, depending on physical needs and what plans the owner may have going forward. And we want to do it far enough in advance that we can, really work with the owners to come up with a plan that will allow them to continue to work with CHFA where possible. We're going to explore the availability of funds for pre-development and refinancing of preservation projects. This is an old building. That's the next item. We've been here a while. We want to continue to be here if that's, possible. And we believe it is. So we do have a capital improvement plan that has required us to budget certain items already that we would want to fix in the current fiscal year, which the board approved in November of last year. So we're well underway on those items. And we want to create a longer term plan for lower priority items that still may be of some importance to our staff and to the maintenance and health of our building. The IT strategic plan was adopted, or wasn't adopted by the board, but it was created by staff and consultant back in 23. It's a 5-year plan. We have a fantastic IT department that churns out a lot of work, but the plan really is to try to lay out the future of IT governance strategies for the organization, to preserve our resiliency, to ensure that we're dealing with threats, that we're dealing with longer term projects that have to do with business needs, and that we're aligning all of that with our strategic goals. So for 2024, we have a roadmap that goes into great detail. I'm not going to present that here, but as we report back to you, we can give you some of that detail. And our hope is to complete all of those roadmap items by the end of the year. We've talked about the last item as well, which is our need or our desire to seek the best execution for mortgage financing in single family that balances market conditions with financial stability. And so how do we do that? First step is we're going to build the infrastructure to support a non-bond financed program, which is called a TBA, or to be announced, or secondary market. People call it different things, but this is an important step towards creating the vehicle for us to deliver loans taxably, which can allow us to diversify how we finance things, but also how we respond to the various needs that come up in our business. Next slide, please. So this is an area that we're calling innovation. So the first item goes to the idea that student loan debt is a massive impediment. I know the state is focused greatly, and of course the federal government has looked at ways to mitigate student loan debt. And it's especially an impediment for lower income borrowers and borrowers of color. Today, we're going to be discussing an idea for an initiative that we believe will enable CHFA to provide some resources to remove or mitigate some of the some of the barriers associated with student loan debt for first-time homeownership. The second innovative idea or innovation idea is around change management. So some of the best ideas will come from the people who are doing the work every day, and we want to encourage that, but we want to create a vehicle that actually more formally allows for the bubbling up of ideas and recognizing that there may be ways of process improvement, but there may also be more innovative ways to create paths forward for different questions or problems that may arise in the course of daily activities. And finally, this is something that we're currently undergoing, which is we're pursuing some changes to EMAP. I know there were some questions today at the Finance Committee about delinquencies and foreclosures and things like that. We want to be able to increase utilization of programs to assist households who are encountering financial difficulty. We've, with the Commissioner's help, initiated a bill in the current legislative session to provide greater flexibility, and we've provided some ways that eligibility can be enhanced for the current EMAP program. And so we're hopeful that the bill will be signed into law. Next, please. Today, we're going to be talking about a few different things. One of them, of course, is the compensation study. But compensation is not the only way that we're looking to enhance our organizational capacity. We want to invest in our people. We've done that in a number of ways already. We're going to continue that work through an online learning platform, LinkedIn Learning. We've talked to a bunch of fellow agency colleagues as well as other folks. We've researched a bunch of different companies, and we've decided that ultimately LinkedIn was the best choice for CHFA. It has a comprehensive library of courses that will support staff training and professional development across the board. And then the second bullet goes to the fact that we want to continue to have the ability to poll our employees and measure their engagement and satisfaction. You know, because they're so interconnected to performance, and we want to develop ways that we respond to any areas that they may consider that we would need to provide further support for that. Next, please. We undertook a rebrand, which we've talked to you about before. It is close to being complete. Taken a little longer than we envisioned, but I believe it is worth the time and effort it has taken. Once we have that done, we believe we will complete an implementation plan that will allow us to message broadly about who CHFA is, reintroduce ourselves, and continue in that vein. We're looking to create a special marketing campaign around particular area of interest. We believe the teachers program is something that is vital to the state. It's something that is underutilized, and we want to create a targeted awareness campaign around the teachers program and potentially create a pipeline of borrowers. Finally, but certainly last but not least, we want to educate, inform, and raise awareness of affordable housing needs. We want to use data, we want to use research and other resources to inform and enhance local-led housing strategies. We want to do it in concert with other groups at the local level. So we've connected recently with the Center for Housing Opportunity, which is a partnership of the Housing Collective and the Partnership for Strong Communities. It's a planning, policy, and capacity building organization, and they're doing work in Litchfield County, Eastern Connecticut, and Fairfield counties. I know DOH is working with them in Fairfield County. And we've just started to have conversations with them about how CHFA can participate in opportunities to connect with towns in these regions, in a peer learning sort of way, to connect them with resources, data, and information about our programs and understanding of their needs. And we're also exploring the idea of using a common data-centered set of tools across all of the different organizations that use, analyze, and provide data and research for use, more broadly in our industry in Connecticut. Next slide, please. And here are just some quick quantitative measures that we will be reporting back to you on. So we want to target 3,500 first mortgage purchases. I don't know if you recall, but last year our target was 1,600 and we blew through that. And so now we're setting it based on what we consider to be a more realistic and achievable number. And it's really because of time to own and our interest rate advantage that we currently have our product offerings essentially. We want to ensure that 50% of our loans go to BIPOC borrowers, first-time homeownership loans, of course. We are doing some work on revising our mobile manufactured home program offerings. That has also been traditionally underutilized, and we are trying to rejuvenate it. It's the second discussion today under strategic discussions. And we're not aiming very high at the moment, but we're hopeful that we'll be able to bring more interest to this program. And then multifamily, this is a targeted number of units that we expect initial close. These are either units that have our financing or may not have our financing, but will have other resources that we allocate. Next slide. We want to target closing a certain number of state-sponsored housing portfolio properties that will require either priority needs or taxable loans for recapitalization. And then Build for CT, which is the program around middle income housing that was launched last year. We're seeing a lot of interest, and I know Pat can speak to this, but we have a pretty large pipeline, and a lot of developers are interested and are starting to sort of bring their deals back from potentially a state where they may have been stalled. They perhaps could be waiting for approvals. Maybe they're waiting on financing. And again, this is a subordinate loan program, so it's a little bit out of our control in terms of we're ready to go, but trying to, they have to get further along in their process in order for us to get them to closing. And so we're being a conservative here, but based on what we're seeing currently, I think that's probably achievable. And we hope to sign up 9 lenders, I think, by the end of the year, and we may have 5 right now.
Well, this year we have 4.
Four so far, so we're hoping for another 5. And again, this is a partnership, public-private, between the banks that are the primary lenders and the state, which is providing the subordinate financing and buying affordability into these market rate developments. And finally, our target for ITA and opportunity funds, it's a little bit more evenly split, because if you recall, this year we have close to a little over $15 million that we're allocating to the opportunity fund, which has reduced the amount that the ITA currently has allocated to it, but we believe we should be able to use or commit all of these funds that are currently available. So with that, I'm stop talking and taking questions.
Thank you. Comments, questions?
Hi, it's Tim. I've got like 4, so you can tell me whether someone else wants to go first.
Go ahead.
Okay, just in terms of the financial section, Nandini, so how many multifamily properties, I mean, do we are expiring like within the next 5 years if we were to look at that right now?
We have 2 this year, Tim, and then we have, I think, 4 next year. And then it just goes up a little bit to 6. It's not that many, and typically what happens is as they move closer to the 1-year mark, they contact us and we work them through. So we're just looking at the list now. We just spoke with, we have one that matures in May that we spoke with last week, and we have another one that expires of this year. So those are the 2 priorities this year.
Okay, so I think that's helpful. So I am curious. So if I recall correctly, is it 50% you're looking to target, right? And then 75 is the stretch?
Sure, yeah.
Yes, we're looking to reach 50% of the total that are maturing or expiring in the next 5 years.
Okay. All right. And then in terms of, I'd like to talk about that more. I don't want to take up a ton of time here. In terms of the relationship building, you specifically mentioned the teachers program. I'm curious as to how we homed in on teachers versus like nurses or police officers or whatever else. Is there some specific reason?
Oh, I know there's a great interest in attracting teachers to Connecticut. And I know that the state has put resources into doing that. I know the commissioner herself is interested in working to incentivize teachers to move to Connecticut. And so it seemed like a good fit.
And Hazin, correct me if I'm wrong, is a bill that we had. So
Correct.
it's actually a bill that it was passed few years, actually before I came to office. And we are utilizing those resources from that bill that is in existence.
Okay, so if I heard you correctly, Nandini, this was kind of like an idea based on some stuff that's happened in the past. We didn't necessarily kind of say, do we need more police officers in one area or nurses or whatever else? It's a program that's kind of already been kind of focused on, I guess, in the past.
Yeah, it actually, Tim, we have in our budget about $9 million with the down payment assistance. That program, it includes $1 million for assistant for the teachers assistance program.
Okay.
So we utilize those resources.
Yeah. And then in terms of the target of 3,500, we had a goal of 16 last year, kind of blew through that with 3,500 as the target. If the time to own, it's based on a question that Phil raised in a previous meeting. If a time to own actually went away, how would that impact that 3,500 target?
Right. I mean, it definitely is a leading edge, right? I mean, it's really, we believe it's like a once in a generation kind of thing that Connecticut has never had, right? It's had down payment assistance that was repayable, but it's a really unique program. And so absolutely, if time to own wasn't around, I can't predict because I'm not in that business, but thankfully, but I would say that we would work hard to figure out how to keep production at the levels it is today, and we'd have to be creative about how we find those resources.
So you still think you'd blow through, even if we didn't have time to own, you'd still blow through that 1,600 number?
Yeah,
Well-
there's definitely a potential, Tim, just because of the current rate environment.
Yeah.
Right. So there's so many things in play. You have the rate environment, you have inventory. The market evolves. So I think what Denny was just trying to relay is the fact that depending to what's happening on the ground, we're definitely going to adjust, because part of the reason why we are attractive is because we can come up with a product that will generate a particular result. And the 5,500 is that result. So if we feel that we can get there, that's
I
the,
want to add one thing, which is we are gonna have time to own through the end of this year.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think given all of that, we feel comfortable with that number.
Okay, and then my last question is related to the student loan debt. I saw the other programs in the other states, which I thought was interesting and good. I am curious though, I mean, what type of analysis that we've done for the impact, well, because if I recall correctly, the surveys that were done were kind of more general, and I am curious as to kind of specifically in Connecticut if we've done any research around, hey, this many people are behind in terms of student loan debt, and we really do have an opportunity to ramp up. And maybe I missed it, but I am curious as to whether that occurred.
Sure. So we have done some analysis. I don't know that we will answer your question about who's behind because it really isn't meant to address
Right,
delinquency.
yeah,
Right? But because there's a presentation coming at the end of the meeting, can we defer that question?
Yeah. absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate the
Could I-
time.
Could I interrupt for one? I just want to say, being a lender on the street, time to own is a great product, but I think there's still, I don't think it's a 1-for-1 reduction of volume when and if time to own goes away. I think you're going to still see people who, to get into home ownership is going to look at other down payment assistance programs. I mean, that's my answer anecdotally, but like, I think it's not going to be a 1-to-1, like time to own goes away, all of that business goes away. I think you're going to see maybe a percentage go down because people, the benefits of time to own, but people still will use CHFA for the down payment assistance programs and the lower, the lower interest rates and things like that.
Yeah, no, totally get it, Phil. This was
Yeah.
more of a, I don't think business goes away. I was just trying to figure out going from 1,600 to 3,500 is a big jump. And I wanted to
Right.
understand the impact of time to own on that.
Yep.
Thank you, Phil. Anybody else?
Yeah, hi, I'd like to follow up. This is Lisa on Tim's question, which was similar to mine about the outreach to properties that are falling off of the deed restrictions. And thanks for the numbers. The numbers sound like they're mostly single digits each year over the next few years. So the question I wanted to ask is whether, and we don't have to discuss it now, but I'd like to maybe ask Pat, that you and your team take away the question as to if there are that few, maybe we could be more ambitious about the target to reach out to.
Sure. The reason it's at 50% is because our expectation is that a lot of the owners with a 5-year maturity are not really thinking about how they're going to exit the property or recapitalize the property at that point. So that would be, we'll contact more than 50%. 50% is our goal. And obviously our stretch is higher than that. So we can be more ambitious. It's conversations at this point that as we get closer and closer to maturity, they become more of a reality.
So maybe these are two different things then. When I think of outreach, I think of you actually just seeking to contact the owners, which is different in my mind than securing a deal with them to roll it over. So maybe there's a way to break that down and just ask that.
So yeah,
You are correct.
so listen, with Pat, you can take a look at that. And then because you're just looking at the numbers right now.
Right.
But then we can come back and the staff can
We'll
look
put a
at it.
finer point on it.
Yeah.
We can. do
Yeah,
that.
because it sounds like you would be able to actually seek to reach all of them every year. What happens out of that discussion is a different issue, and we'd love to also hear about that. But to ask your staff to actually maybe set a goal of 100% outreach to all of them, and that might already be what you're doing, Pat. It might just be a matter of semantics, but maybe you could just look at refining the way that's worded.
Yeah, so Lisa is asking for two things.
Yeah.
One is the outreach and one is the target to make the deal work, right? So we can separate those two. Thank you, Lisa. Any other comments or questions? All right, thank you. Thank you, Andy. Well. So next item on the agenda is, Finance and Audit Committee. We have an, action item, and is the amendment of the resolution approved in July 2021. Hazin, you're gonna present that resolution?
Yes, so good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. For your consideration is a resolution to amend a resolution previously approved by the board in July of 2021. At the July 21 meeting, the board authorized CHFA to procure additional credit lines totaling 100 million to preserve single-family loan prepayments, a precious CHFA resource for future loan origination. The resolution is set to expire on July 29th of this year, and CHFA is requesting the resolution be extended for another 3 years. As a quick recap, the board authorized CHFA to procure credit lines for loan prepayments preservation at the March 2021 and July 2021 meetings. Due to a drop in loan prepayments in 2023, CHFA allowed the March 2021 resolution to expire, leaving the July 2021 the remaining outstanding resolution. While loan prepayments have subsided from their previous high, there will always be loan prepayments, and as such, it's important for CHFA to preserve them for future loan origination. The resolution was presented to Finance Committee this morning, and the Finance Committee asked many questions relating to the interest rate that the line is based on, the current provider or the future provider, how CHFA went to select a provider, and the ultimate cost for the line. The resolution was approved unanimously by committee, and I'll be happy to answer any question relating to the resolution by the board at this time.
Thank you, Hazin. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution presented by Hazin?
So moved, Jerry.
Second, Tim.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Dawn, could you please do a roll call?
Of course. Jerry Abrahams,
Aye.
Cindy Butts,
Aye.
Wendy Clark, Phil DeFronto,
Yes.
Heidi DeWeingart, Claudio Gualtieri,
Aye.
Timothy Hodges,
Yes.
Kathy McKinnon, Commissioner Mascara Bruno,
Yes.
Commissioner Perez.
Yes.
Thank you. Franklin Perry, Matt Puglisi,
Yes.
Chelsea Ross,
Yes.
Sarah Sanders,
Yes.
Lisa Tepper Bates,
Aye.
Greg Ugalde.
Aye.
The vote passes unanimously.
Thank you, Dawn. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the 2023 audit results, and we'll see
Go first. Go first.
Tom?
Video.
Tom from Whittlesey will provide a report.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Our reports are issued. We met with the Finance and Audit Committee this morning, so we have a brief overview to share with the board. We have I believe documents included in the presentation. If we'll move to that. Thank you. So on page 4 of this is where I'd like to start. Thank you. So our reports are issued. We've issued unmodified reports on the financial statements, and we've also issued unmodified reports on the major federal programs and major state programs. Part of those reports require us to look at and evaluate the internal controls over the financial statements themselves and the schedule of expenditures, as well as compliance. All reports we've issued are unmodified, which basically means they are clean. No modifications noted for the report. We did not identify any findings or non-compliance with any of our financial statement audits or compliance audits. Part of the audit did use an IT specialist at Whittlesey to evaluate financial control or IT controls relevant to the financial reporting process, and we didn't have any areas of focus or reportable matters to you. During the audit, we did not encounter any difficulties with management or with any of the information we were provided to complete the audit. We completed the audit on schedule and as we anticipated based on our prior meeting with you to discuss the audit planning process. And then finally, there were no misstatements that required correction as a result of our audit. There were no misstatements that we identified that were not corrected either. So good on both fronts there. The next page, again, we went over this in detail with the Finance and Audit Committee, which is our required communication. We issue letters to the board focused on these communications, but the ones I'll cover are our responsibilities under generally accepted auditing standards as well as government auditing standards. That communication was made when we were initially engaged by CHFA. There were no significant audit adjustments or any other issues or illegal acts, fraud, any misappropriations or non-compliance. And then finally, we confirmed to you that we've maintained our independence with respect to CHFA during the course of our engagement as required under regulatory standards. The final 3 pages here you have in front of you are just a follow-up from our audit process and our plan. The first one talks about required supplementary information, which is primarily the MD&A. There's also the schedule of expenditure of federal awards and state awards and the required supplementary information on the pension. The next page, or the last 2 pages, focus on significant accounting areas. For the most part, we do confirm almost your entire balance sheet. We do detailed testing of transactions, and we look at journal entries to make sure that there's no override of controls in the financial reporting process, as well as the rest of our detailed testing. So I won't go over that in detail. We went over that with the Finance and Audit Committee, but we'll answer any questions anyone has.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Okay, hearing none. Tom, thank you very much for your report.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the resolution regarding the 9% low-income housing tax credit reservation. And Deb or Pat, Deb, you gonna present the resolution?
Yes, I am. Good morning, everyone. I'm Debbie Alter, the Senior Program Officer for Program Administration, and I'm here to present the 9% 2024 round results. 10 applications were received requesting approximately 15.9 million in annual 9% credits to develop a total of 667 rental units. 8 applications were received in the new construction classification, which is scored in 5 categories outlined in the QAP, and 2 were received in the preservation classification, which is evaluated based on 6 preservation priorities outlined in the QAP. 9 of the 10 applications proposed developments in municipalities with less than 10% affordable housing. 4 of the proposed developments were in a very high area of opportunity, and 4 were in a high area of opportunity. 7 of the applicants in the new construction classification included supportive housing units for intellectually disabled clients of the Department of Developmental Services, and 1 included supportive housing for households experiencing homelessness. All the applicants in the new construction classification proposed the highest level of energy conservation and green building design. All the applications went through a rigorous underwriting and scoring review performed by staff and program administration, and a detailed design review was done by staff and technical services. I would like to thank the staff for their dedication and hard work throughout the round. My program administration staff is here in the back of the room. Kim Collette, Stephen Trayvon. Thank you, couldn't do it without you. The resolutions before you recommend awarding a total of approximately 10.1 million in 9% LAHTCs to 6 developments. In the preservation class, both applicants are recommended for award. which represents about 38% of the credit ceiling. West Hartford Fellowship Housing Redevelopment Phase 2 seeks 2,103,000 credits to develop 68 units and add 9 units for a total of 77 affordable units for the elderly in West Hartford. Phase 1 of this redevelopment was awarded 9% credits in 2022 and is currently under construction. And Willow Arms redevelopment seeks 1,920,000 credits to renovate 81 units in the Terrafil section of Simsbury. 64 units will be affordable and 17 units will be unrestricted. In the new construction classification, the 4 highest scoring applicants are recommended for award. 1600 New Britain Avenue seeks 1,931,757 credits to build 90 units in Farmington. 68 units will be affordable and 22 will be market rate. Cheshire Highlands seeks 1,521,097 credits to build 71 units in Cheshire. 56 units will be affordable and 15 will be market rate. The L at North Main seeks 1,168,000 credits to adaptively reuse a vacant synagogue in West Hartford and create 49 new units, 39 of which will be affordable and 10 will be market rate. And finally, Parcel B Phase 1 seeks 1,440,000 credits to build 60 new units in Naugatuck. 48 units will be affordable and 12 units will be market rate. Together, these awardees will develop 428 units, of which 352 will be affordable and 76 will be market rate. 52% of these units will contain 2 or more bedrooms. All of the awardees are located in municipalities with less than 10% affordable housing. Due to forward commitments of 2024 credits made in the 2023 round, a forward commitment of approximately 1.5 million credits is required from the 2025 credit ceiling. If the credit ceiling remains unchanged, this represents 14% of the 2025 pool. However, it is likely that the pool will increase due to an increase in the multiplier used to calculate the credit ceiling, and the forward commitment requirement may decrease through the receipt of additional credits from the 2024 national pool, which is expected this fall. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Deb. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution presented by Deb?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, hearing none. Don, could you do roll call, please?
Absolutely. Jerry Abrahams,
Aye.
Cindy Butts,
Yes.
Wendy Clark, Phil DeFranco,
Yes.
Heidi DeWeingart, Claudio Gualtieri,
Yes.
Timothy Hodges,
Yes.
Kathy McKinnon, Commissioner Mascara Bruno,
Yes.
Commissioner Perez,
Yes. Yes.
Franklin Perry, Matt Puglisi,
Yes.
Chelsea Ross,
Yes.
Sarah Sanders,
Yes.
Lisa Tepper Bates,
Aye.
Greg Ugalde.
Aye.
The vote passes unanimously.
Thank you, Don. Motion carries. Congratulations to all those projects that received the allocation of tax credits. I know how difficult it is. And you guys did a great job. Thank you. The next item is an executive session, and I would like to ask for a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Motion. Second.
Point of order, can you state for the record the purpose of going to executive session? Is that
Yes, it's
You
for the CEO evaluation.
okay?
I will motion second and then comments or questions.
Somebody should mute their mic.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
All right, Commissioner, I'm going to go ahead and magically pull you all into a breakout room. Please let me know when you're ready to come back. Wendy Clark has been on and off the call this morning. She's having she's traveling and having some difficulties with a solid connection. So if she comes back on, I will put her into your room. So I will whisk you away right now. Just a reminder for those of you who are still in this room that the meeting is still being live streamed and recorded.
In the video. You, say something. We can continue, right?
Yeah, well, we have to take a vote on the resolution. We're going to do a discussion.
Dawn's back in town. Just give me 1 second. Oh,
Okay, are we still on the board meeting?
You know, she's just.
Okay.
Commissioner, I'm sorry, the room got muted. If you could just unmute the room.
Test, 1, 2.
Now we can hear you. Thank you.
You're
Can you hear me now? I already went through the whole resolution. All right.
And it passed unanimous, right?
Can I have him, do I need to read the resolution? For members.
I think you do.
So, based on Korn Ferry's analysis of the compensation of CEOs and executive directors of housing finance agencies across the country, the board of directors desires to authorize fiscal year 2024 compensation for the chief executive officer, executive director that includes the salary increase of $80,000, which will take effect January 1st, 2024, and consists of merit payments, a cost of living adjustment, and a market adjustment. There is one suggestion to change desires or to eliminate desires and just to authorize for fiscal year 2024. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution with that change?
I'll make the motion. Cindy.
You, Cindy?
second,
Thank you, Greg. Any comments, discussion, questions? Okay, hearing none. Don, could you do a roll call?
Yes. Jerry Abrahams,
aye.
Cindy Butts,
Aye.
Wendy Clark, Phil DeFronto. Phil, I see you're here, but I didn't hear your response. I'll come back for you. Heidi DeWeingart, Claudio Gualtieri, Timothy Hodges,
Yes.
Kathy McKinnon, Commissioner Mascara Bruno. Commissioner, I'm sorry, I don't hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Perez,
No.
Franklin Perry, Matt Puglisi,
Yes.
Chelsea Ross,
Yes.
Sarah Sanders,
Yes.
Lisa Tupper Bates,
Aye.
Greg Ugalde.
Aye.
Let me just circle back to Phil DeFronzo.
Aye.
Thank you. And Claudio Gualtieri. All right. The vote does pass with one nay vote.
Thank you, Don. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the resolution regarding implementation of compensation study recommendation.
Thank you.
Nancy?
Yep, good morning again. CHFA retained Korn Ferry to assess the health of our compensation structure. They did a job leveling. They went through a job leveling process and of each and every single job at the authority. They created job groups and based on that priced them based on comparator markets that that they were able to use from their data sources. The results of the study pegs our compensation structure at the 65th percentile of the base pay comparator market. And the job groups and salary ranges based upon the 65th percentile are presented in the exhibit attached to the memo. We are recommending adjustments to be made to salaries for certain individuals to bring them up to the minimum of their job grade, as well as closer to the midpoint based upon tenure and job satisfactory job performance. These two sets of adjustments are estimated to cost about $235,000, which can be easily absorbed in the FY24 budget without need for amendments. I respectfully request your approval of the CHFA comp study recommendations.
Thank you, Nandini. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution that Nandini presented?
So moved.
For a second,
I'll second.
or questions?
I have a question, but,
Sure.
and if this is provided and I missed it, I apologize, but can I get a copy of that recommendation?
Yes, I can certainly provide that. You mean Corn Ferry's recommendation?
Yes, and I'm sure it was discussed in the personnel committee, but I'm not a member and I was not able to. I had a conflict in my schedule, so I was not able to make that Tuesday meeting that,
I can send the memo to
you know.
you, of course, Commissioner Perez.
and then one question, that's fine. I'll look at it when,
Okay.
Any other comment or questions? Okay, Dawn, could you please do roll call?
Yes. Jerry Abrahams, Cindy Butts,
Yes.
Wendy Clark, Phil DeFronto.
I figured out my mute on this one, so yes.
Thank you. Heidi DeWeingart, Claudia Gualtieri, Timothy Hodges,
Yes.
Kathy McKinnon, Commissioner Mascara Bruno. Commissioner, I'm sorry, I didn't pick you up again.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Perez,
yes,
Franklin Perry, Matt Puglisi, Chelsea Ross,
Yes.
Sarah Sanders,
Yes.
Lisa Tepper Bates,
Yes.
Greg Ugalde.
Aye.
Let me just circle back. Jerry Abrams and Matt Puglisi. Okay, all recorded votes are the vote passes unanimously.
Thank you. Motion carries. I want to just thank my members of the personnel committee. Thank you very much for this work, and to the CEO for getting this done. I know that there will be some adjustments, and I know that you're trying to have people in the right place. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The next item we have two more items on the agenda. One is a discussion, strategic discussion. Both. Mitigating debt to income barriers, and I think this is the EMAT program.
No, student loan.
Oh, the student loan.
And the next one is the manufactured.
A manufactured home.
Yeah.
So Lisa and Hazim, you guys are going to.
Oh, she's doing all the presenting.
He's answering all the questions.
Okay, Lisa.
We're on thing. All right, and I was told to go fast, so I apologize if I go too fast, but I just, we can go to that next slide, please. Research suggests that every $1,000 in student debt results in a 4-month delay in achieving homeownership for most people in their mid-20s attending a 4-year college. And at first that didn't really sink in with me, but then I ran some numbers and I realized that this equates to a 12-year delay based on a student loan debt of $35,000. So it was really a little more than I was thinking. It didn't sound like a lot at first. Additionally, the disparity between Black and white homeownership rates in Connecticut has widened, with the gap increasing from 35.2% in 2010 to 38% in 2020, which is among the highest in the nation. These trends underscore the urgent need for targeted interventions to address barriers and promote equity in homeownership. Next slide, please. Can you hear me? Oh, there we go. Okay. That significantly impedes homeownership, affecting more than half of non-homeowners nationwide. In Connecticut, 1 in 6 adults carry student loan debt, with half under 35 years old. The average balance is $36,000, which surpasses other New England states, except it trails behind New York and New Jersey. Borrowers from communities of color in Connecticut are twice as likely to default on loans as compared to their white counterparts. This underscores the critical need for targeted solutions to alleviate the burden of student debt and facilitate access, particularly among marginalized communities. Next slide. To get a sense of what other states have tried, we looked at programs in Illinois and in Maryland. And Illinois provides 15% of the purchase price up to $40,000 for student loan relief, in addition to additional deferred down payment assistance. They have invested $25 million to assist approximately 700 borrowers. Maryland provides 15% of the purchase price, capped at $20,000, and up to $6,000 or 6% in additional deferred down payment assistance. In both programs, the debt is forgiven, provided the borrower remain in the home for a minimum number of years, Illinois being 3 and Maryland 5. Next slide, okay. No, I think we need to go to the next slide. Sorry, I'm not keeping up on the slides. Oh, maybe I am. Where am I? Oh, okay, here we go. The 40%. Let's go back one, sorry. Yeah. So since 2019, approximately 40% of CHFA borrowers have been burdened with student loan debt. On average, they carry an unpaid balance of $35,000, translating to about $200 a month. Notably, Black borrowers face a 28% higher average unpaid balance as compared to their white counterparts, with an average of $40,707 in debt versus $31,648. These findings highlight the disproportionate impact of student loan debt on marginalized communities. Next slide. By statute, CHFA may not lend unsecured funds, and the GSEs limit the combined loan to value, preventing CHFA from providing student loan debt relief in the form of a loan. So given that, what can we do? Next slide, please. CHFA intends to run a pilot and set aside $10 million to permanently buy down its current interest rate by 1 1/8% to assist approximately 300 borrowers. The maximum first mortgage would be set at $400,000, and the borrower must have at least $15,000 in student loan debt in good standing. Those loans may be in deferment. We're also going to explore ways to engage with HDF to provide other services that may include additional one-on-one counseling. As we all know, counseling is key to successful homeownership. So we want to offer that one-on-one counseling, encourage that one-on-one type of counseling. So next slide. So there's other requirements. I think I didn't go over the max loan we did. Income can't exceed 100% of the AMI. It's for primary owner occupied residents, obviously. And the minimum student debt has to be $15,000 and it has to be in good standing. And I know that question came up, and I just want to address that. The people have to qualify for a mortgage. That's the bottom line. So if they're behind on their student loan debt, they have an opportunity, of course, to bring it current, maybe work with the student loan servicer to change the credit rating. However, so it may be a way that they can cure it, but then we need to see, can they get a loan right away? Because once you cure it, it may take some time for your credit to improve to get to that point. And since we have so many other options to help them with the down payment and closing costs, if they do have funds, that they can use to bring current. You know, because they won't need those for closing or for down payment, then that would also help. So. Oh, and also we will begin collecting data on first generation home buyers on all of our programs to get a better understanding of the demographics of our borrowers. Next slide. On this slide, you can see the impact of the rate buy down on the debt to income bar of the borrowers in the various AMI areas and locations of the property. So you can see it really does make a big impact, and it can definitely make the difference of someone carrying debt, whether or not they can qualify for a mortgage. And then the next slide, please. This slide basically represents an example of the additional borrowing power a borrower could benefit from with the monthly savings. So, you know, it does allow them to possibly purchase more home than they would be able to if they didn't have this discount. So that's the end of that presentation. So I'm open to any questions.
Thank you, Lisa. So before we hear comments to the board members, I wanted to ask that we can table the strategic discussion on the mobile and manufactured homes for next board meeting, and we can have the discussion. We only have another 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and we can have a discussion on the presentation that Lisa just made to have some comments. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, and I would even be willing to table this one into the next one too, since we've got, you know, we're already half hour over, but there's a couple things, Lisa. One, thank you for putting this together. I think it's certainly an idea, and other states are doing it. So, you know, I think there's an opportunity here. I am curious, and I don't know just the way that I'm thinking about it, but you said, you know, people of color are 2 times more likely to have a default than their white counterparts, yet we have a real focus in on trying to attract people of color. So I'm trying to match those two together, how it will actually work if that's the case. And I think I heard you say, Nani, earlier on, if people are in default, they wouldn't qualify for this. So that's, again, another issue. And then thirdly, with an amount of 400,000 as the maximum, I'm curious as to how many people you think you'll be able to impact in an area like Fairfield County, because I think 400,000, and I don't know the answer, but 400,000 seems to me like you're going to be limited in terms of buying a home.
Okay, so do you want to address those now, or do we wait? I just wasn't sure.
So I think Lisa kind of explained the first point, which was if people are in default, they're not going to qualify for a mortgage necessarily, right? Because they're going to have, that will impact their credit score, and it could bar them from even entering. So this is linked to our mortgage program. So there's a certain amount of expectation that the person's going to come in with decent credit. And so I think what Lisa was saying, we can avail them of one-on-one counseling, which can help them to get their debt in order. It could help them to get some ideas about budgeting if that's what they need. They could cure the default potentially. I mean, some of these, you know, folks may not
And
have.
they can even work with the student loan servicers who may, you know, a lot of times people forget they're supposed to pay it. They don't get the notification they've moved. And a lot of times these student loan servicers will kind of wipe it out and start you over. So there's an opportunity, but I think they don't understand all those opportunities. And that is one of the other reasons that we want to encourage one-on-one counseling, you know, so that they can improve their financial health and eventually purchase a home.
And then the last question was, I'm sorry.
Fairfield.
I mean, we did think about that the loan amounts may not allow us to reach the more expensive areas in Connecticut. Because this is a pilot,
Resources.
I think we're a little resource constrained too, so it's something we'll consider going forward. Thank you.
Any other comments, recommendations? None. I think that if you guys take your time, take a look at, the information that Lisa has provided us. And, as you guys are drafting this program, it would be valuable information to have. And Tim, if you have other suggestions on those questions, please, send the information or your questions or your comments. All right. Thank you very much, Lisa. We need to vote on the consent agenda. If I can have a motion for the consent agenda.
Moved.
Second.
Don, could you do a roll call, please?
Yes. Jerry Abrahams. Cindy Butts.
Yes.
Wendy Clark. Phil DeFronto.
Yes.
Heidi DeWeingart. Claudio Gualtieri. Timothy Hodges.
Yes.
Kathy McKinnon. Commissioner Mosquera Bruno.
Yes.
Commissioner Perez.
Yes.
Franklin Perry. Matt Puglisi. Chelsea Ross.
Yes.
Sarah Sanders.
Yes.
Lisa Tepper Bates.
Yes.
Greg Ugalde.
Aye.
The vote passes unanimously.
Garris, thank you, Dawn. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
And this is George, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.